13th, 2021. May we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Commissioner Avila.
Present.
Commissioner Estrada.
May we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Commissioner Avila. Anybody getting that feedback?
Yep.
May we have a roll call, please?
Okay. Commissioner Estradas? Commissioner Gavidia?
Present.
Commissioner Grimmig?
Present.
Commissioner Hisarick?
Present.
Commissioner Cato?
Present.
Commissioner Kalfani?
Present.
Commissioner Lemus? Commissioner Mandel?
Present.
Commissioner Osi let me know that she was not going to be able to make it. Commissioner Pack? Commissioner Shannon?
Present.
Commissioner Sidota?
Present.
Okay. 9. We have 9. We have a quorum.
Make a motion, Mr. President.
Yes, please, Commissioner.
Second.
I move that the Los Angeles City Health Commission determine, in accordance with AB 361, Section 3E3, that this legislative body has reconsidered the circumstances of the state of emergency, and that the state of emergency continues to directly impact the ability of the members to meet safely in person, and/or state and local officials continue to impose or recommend measures to promote social distancing.
I'll second it.
Any comment or questions about this? Can we have a vote on that, please?
Commissioner Avila?
Aye.
Commissioner Estradas? I don't believe she has joined us yet. Commissioner Gavidia?
Yes.
Commissioner Grimmig?
Approve.
Commissioner Hisarick?
Yes.
Commissioner Cato?
Yes.
Commissioner Kalfani?
Approve.
Commissioner Lemus? I believe she's not with us yet. Commissioner Mandel?
Approve.
Commissioner Osei is absent. Commissioner Pack is absent. Commissioner Shannon?
Abstain.
Commissioner Sidota?
Approve.
That is 8 in favor. Motion carries.
Excellent, thank you. Could we have a approval of the minutes from the last meeting, please?
I'll approve.
Somebody second that, please?
I second.
Any comment or conversation, discussion about the minutes? Any corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, can we have a vote on that?
Commissioner Avila?
Yes.
Commissioner Estradas is not here yet. Commissioner Gavidia?
Yes.
Commissioner Grimmig?
Approve.
Commissioner Hisarick?
Yes.
Commissioner Cato?
I have a question. I had to leave, I think, 15 minutes before it finished. Can I still approve it?
Yes.
All right, I approve.
Commissioner Kalfani?
Approve.
Commissioner Lemus? Not with us yet. Commissioner Mandel?
Approve.
Commissioner Osei is absent. Commissioner Pack? Not joined us. Commissioner Shannon?
Approve.
Commissioner Sidota?
Michael, you're muted.
Approve.
Thank you.
Is 9. Motion carries. And I'm sorry, that was Commissioner Grimmick moving, and who seconded?
Dr. Kalfani.
Okay, thank you.
Seeing anybody from the neighborhood council? Seeing none, could we go to public comment? Sarah, is anybody in the public comment waiting area?
Currently, no one is waiting.
Excellent. All right. Well, seeing that there's none, if you see somebody come in a little bit later, please let us know. Let's move on then to the agenda. We've going to item number 2, being that we've done item number 1, which item number 2 is our report, which is now on its 4th rendition and has been sent out. Who's going to take the lead on that for initial presentation and discussion of modifications?
I will be taking the lead. I'm going to be highlighting the changes that we've made.
Excellent, thank you. And then just curious, is Marvin on today, or is he?
He is not, no.
No problem. I didn't see his name there. I was just curious. Okay, great, thanks.
So starting off, just diving right in, Section 1, homelessness. The biggest change that was made is on page 7 in long-term housing solutions. We included Rise Together's roadmaps, and we just said that we wanted to, we gave a summary of what Rise Together is and what their plan is and what the steps of the roadmap are, as there are 11 steps that we've included. And this is by far the biggest change to the homelessness section. If anyone has questions about the changes.
Great, move on then.
I have questions. Sorry, I'm in traffic and I'm having trouble raising my hand.
Oh, yes, of course.
Okay.
We want you to drive safely, so don't raise your hand. You feel free to jump in, Commissioner Shannon.
Okay. I don't really feel comfortable, once again, using Rise Together as a roadmap. I feel that some of what's in there is good and some is not. And I think Commissioner Mandel and I were going to have a conversation about what to place in there. I don't agree with all 11 steps. And I just, this is really, I mean, the quote-unquote roadmap are really other people's ideas that have been put into, one report. And I just find it to be extremely controversial. So I'm wondering if we could maybe, not pass our report today and look at this more closely, or I felt that our homeless section was actually very well done prior to this, and I just don't think that this adds anything, and I'm not really okay with all of these steps.
Well, we're not necessarily advocating for all these steps. Our recommendations aren't necessarily to enforce or to recommend the roadmap. It was presented to us at our commission meeting. It was discussed in open commission meeting, and the ideas are significant. Having said that, our recommendations are not to take the roadmap. It's to say that there are ways that we can get to zero homelessness within several years, and this is one suggestion. the city and the council is going to do what it wants to do, and it's not going to change that at all. And I don't think we should delay our approval of the meeting of the report just because of this one page or 3/4 of a page.
Well, yeah, I mean, but the process here was that we were going to go over these steps before they were placed into the report. And I feel like for whatever reason that didn't happen and a meeting wasn't called, but I don't feel comfortable then putting them in. I don't feel comfortable using Rise Together, similar to how I don't feel comfortable using AIDS Project Los Angeles as a nonprofit, that we're kind of putting in there, giving credit to, especially when I feel like it's very controversial and it's mainly a lot of other people's ideas that have been kind of mashed into a report. So I don't...
It's not being mashed into a report. It was presented at the commission meeting.
No, I'm sorry. I meant the Rise Together report was kind of a mash of other people's ideas that were put in there, and I don't feel comfortable with this. And I don't feel comfortable using their name, just like I don't feel comfortable using APLA as a, as a nonprofit organization. And I just find this to be very controversial. And I felt that our homeless section was very, very well done before this, and I'm not exactly sure why we're adding this in, and since it hasn't even been vetted by anyone, and it's just kind of been put in there with the 11 steps, some of which I don't agree with. I just don't think, we have time to go through each and every one of them right now. So,
well, we offered you, Commissioner Shannon, a whole month to meet so we could discuss what you did.
Yeah, but no one contacted me to meet, and
no, we offered.
I was happy to do that.
With all due respect, I told you I was available, and the research associates were available, that we would make ourselves available to meet with you. You had a month to reach out to us. You did not reach out to us. And now, when we present...
No, I thought that an intern was going to reach out to me to schedule some kind of meeting. I believe that's how we were going to do it. But once again, I don't think we should be putting the name Rise Together in there. It looks like we are supporting this report, and I find this to be very controversial.
Who's it controversial with? Who's it controversial with?
Okay, for instance, it says, number 1, settle the current federal lawsuit with the LA Alliance in cooperative fashion. That lawsuit has been thrown out. So that's not even applicable to where we are right now. Use the funds from the settlement for the mayor to declare a citywide crisis. Once more, that's not even applicable. Have a court-appointed and city-endorsed homelessness czar empowered to cut through red tape with hiring and firing authority. Okay. I mean, that is not going to necessarily end homelessness. There are several places where they have homeless czars, and that's not the case. Implement a 4-week mapping program to determine how many individuals experiencing homelessness there are. We have an annual homeless count that already takes care of that. And then their individual identification. Okay, we're not going to be asking people for identification on the street. Many people don't have identification. Real-time location mapping. I'm not even sure what that refers to. And this is, frankly, the person who wrote this report is somebody who basically, was saying it would take us 1 to 2 months, to map all of our housing issues if he became mayor. So, and is running for mayor right now. I find this to be problematic. I find it to be not timely. I find it to be, I just feel like this weakens the report. This isn't something I'm ever going to get behind in terms of this. Immediate housing matched with services in 8 weeks for every person that's unhoused. I mean, this is just not even reasonable by any way, shape, or form. So this is very problematic. I feel like it weakens our report, and I would rather not have these steps in here.
Once again, we're not saying that we're endorsing these steps, nor are we saying that we are endorsing Rise Together. What we're saying is that they're a not-for-profit organization that has proposed a roadmap that is reasonable and was presented to the commission. We're making
And I don't find it to be reasonable. With all due respect, Commissioner Mandel, this is not reasonable. And anyone who looks at this would know, who works in the homeless services, that this is not a reasonable proposal. I understand that we have people come and speak to us at the House Commission, but it doesn't mean that every single idea that they have or every report that they give to us is something that we should be putting in our report. And this is extremely problematic to be putting in here.
I don't see it being problematic at all. It was presented to the commission. It is a roadmap. It is reasonable and prudent. And we can disagree with it, with parts of it, and the city can disagree with parts of it. And the fact of the matter is we have a homeless crisis in Los Angeles that's gone on for years and has not had any impact at all except for getting worse. And the city of Los Angeles and the population of Los Angeles is screaming out for new creative ideas. This is a new creative idea. We're just saying that there could be roadmaps and it needs to be addressed. If you look at our recommendations doesn't say to use Rise Together's protocol. It tells us or tells the people in the city leadership to prioritize and address homelessness. We didn't change that.
Okay, with all due respect, Commissioner Mandel, number 6 is in complete contradiction to our report. Regulate public spaces so that if housing is offered and readily available, no camping encampment should be allowed. We are embracing criminalization here in our report. This is not anything that we have signed off on as a commission. Yes, it does. It says because no camping or encampment should be allowed. That is criminalization.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. With all due respect, Commissioner Mandel, I work in this field. When you say that there's no camping allowed once you offer someone housing, and that is citywide, and it's something that our council just rejected a week and a half ago when it was proposed by Councilmember Joe Buscaino, we are absolutely getting behind criminalization. And I don't support that.
It doesn't
and I don't think this commission should get behind. It doesn't have to say the word. It says no camping or encampment allowed. What does that mean? If you say no trespassing allowed, that means that they are going to ticket you or fine you or take you to jail. Okay, we are getting behind something that is problematic and controversial. I think it weakens our report. If we want to take it every single step, that's fine. Otherwise, I would either rather wait or I would take out these changes. It absolutely contradicts the report that we have created.
Dr. Califani?
I was just going to recommend, if there are things on this list, so this is not my wheelhouse. So, like it's I don't, have, I can't, I find it difficult. I want to actually support some of the stuff that Commissioner Shannon just said, but if there's a way to, if there's things that no longer make sense, or do we have to list all of them? Can there something just be summarized since they did a presentation? We don't include all presentations. And, we can all agree or disagree, but number 6, that is a form of criminalization. If you're talking about regulating public space, or once they find something they no longer can participate in camping, you don't have to say criminalization to know that that's what that is.
Sarah, can you roll up to show what the recommendations are?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Our recommendation was to evaluate Rise Together's roadmap to end homelessness.
Yeah, it's to evaluate it. It's not to accept it. It's not to take everything. It is saying that here is an organization that is offering something that has been shown in other cities, in other communities, to work in a short period of time. The citizens of Los Angeles are begging for a rapid attack of the problem of homelessness, doing things that are different. All it says is to evaluate it. It doesn't say
And I'm good with that. And I'm good with that. I have no problem with that.
Right.
But I was just wondering, for the things that Commissioner Shannon mentioned that actually can't, that have already been dealt with or is no longer valid, could those things come out, or could we just summarize? I'm just trying to figure out a way, to move on, and how do we resolve this without consuming too much time?
Commissioner Kaka?
Yes. So can we, for number 6, sort of change the wording to say evaluate the proposals from, in the recommendation. Sarah, you're okay. Evaluate proposals from different nonprofits, such as that by Rise Together's roadmap, or something to that effect, where we're not just saying that it's just one of the many proposals that should be evaluated, not this proposal.
Okay. Is there a consensus? People comfortable with that?
No.
Okay, let's
With all due respect, if somebody had come to us and said, I don't support childhood vaccines, we wouldn't put in there, let's evaluate this, right? Because it's something that we don't agree with. This was in here. Oh, sorry. Sorry, this is literally put in without any process, and just every single 11 steps and points. Okay, this is not a very good process for us. This is not a very good proposal. I raised a lot of concerns when Craig came to us with this Rise Together report. I raised a lot of these concerns at that time. We should not just be rubber stamping these 11 points that have been put in there, some of which actually contradict things that we say in this report, including number 6.
We're not rubber stamping. It says evaluate proposals, and we're presenting it for people who read this to look at one proposal that is also as our...
Okay, why this proposal and not another proposal then?
Let me just finish my thought, and you can talk.
Okay.
Every single presentation that was given to us is in this report, in the back of the report. Every single slide that was presented to us over the year is part of this report. We make it available. There's total 100% transparency. We're not endorsing opening schools, closing schools. The things that we recommend are in the blue boxes. It's very clear. And I think Commissioner Cotto's amendment to or modification is excellent. It just says evaluate it. The people of Los Angeles, the population of Los Angeles, is tired of the fact that we have not properly addressed homelessness in the city. It's a public nightmare. So all we're asking is to evaluate proposals. Why is that so difficult?
Because when you say you should evaluate these proposals, it is sending a message that we support this, and we don't.
No, it doesn't.
And we don't by the very fact that we have been against criminalization in our reports, but from the very first one in 2016. So to be we should evaluate criminalizing people who are homeless sends a message that that's what we support. I don't think that that's right. I think it's absolutely...
The word criminalization is not there.
Okay, that is criminalization, with all due respect, as you heard from another commissioner. In addition, it's absolutely embarrassing to say they should evaluate 2 months to house everyone. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, anyone who works in this industry, anyone who has put any thought into homelessness and what's happening in the city would look at this. I just think it's embarrassing.
Commissioner Grimmick?
Yeah, I mean, look, one, I think it should stay. We're basically just saying, again, that the city council can evaluate the proposal. And as far as homelessness and people working in homelessness, there hasn't been any good proposals. The problem keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse. So maybe all those people that are working in homelessness with all their ideas can take a look at doing things out of the box, doing things a different way. I think the suggestion is just to evaluate it and take a look at it. And that's it. I don't think the commission's stating one way or the other that they're supporting it, but I definitely think that we should put things in front of the council members that is different than maybe stuff they've seen in the past. Maybe they've seen this, maybe they haven't, but whatever people are doing now is not working. So I don't have a problem with it.
Dr. Lemos?
Thank you. I agree with what Maya is saying, but I want to expand. I think that as a commission, we should be able to hear different types of proposals for how to solve homelessness, but I don't think it should be included in our report just because as a commission we haven't had an opportunity. So I think, looking into the future, maybe we should, have proposals being presented to the commission, but I don't think this is, implementing this one is necessarily the best way to go.
So once again, this was a proposal, this was a presentation to the commission that was and is in its entirety being included, as are all the presentations to us in the bottom of the report, in the back of the report. Every single slide set is being included. Why don't we move down and see the next 2 pages on this, and then we can come back and address it.
There haven't been significant changes in the other sections. Marvin has told me to say that he's made some changes in wording and some grammatical errors that we found. We also made the comments that Commissioner Shannon had proposed with it.
Okay, so why don't we do this? Why don't we go on to the rest of the report, and we'll come back and address which pages of the report. We're talking about pages 6 through what?
I believe 6 through 8.
Okay, so why don't we do this then? Let's go on through the rest of the report, and near the end of when we complete the discussion, we'll come back to pages 6 and 8.
Sure. Could you please go to the next? So within this section, the only changes were in learning losses. We spoke about the multi-generational impact that could be created when students are dropping out of schools or don't receive advanced degrees because of learning impairments and contribution that poverty and these learning losses make. In the 4-day work week, Claire, could you scroll down to the 4-day work week, please? Briefly mentioned the health benefits that can come from days off, flux days, briefly discussed that. Then lastly, long-term care facilities. We added a recommendation, number 5, urge city council members and congressional representatives to advocate for increased funding to long-term care facilities to maximize staff ratios and improve care facilities. That concludes all the edits that were made in the healthy living section. Moving on to...
Commissioner Grimig, your hand's up. Do you have a comment or a question? Your hand's no longer up.
Nope, sorry about that.
No problem.
It might be easier if I just said all the changes rather than having Claire go through the document because they're very minute. We had a spelling error for one of the commissioners, so we have fixed that. We fixed commissioner biographies. If you would like your biography to be edited, please let us know and we'll make the changes accordingly. We fixed formatting errors from other commissioners. We updated the booster sections on page 77 of the COVID-19 section, just essentially reflecting that booster shots are now available to everyone, and the FDA had authorized the booster dose of the Pfizer vaccine for everyone ages 6 and older, and how the booster shots from Moderna and Johnson & Johnson are for adults 18 years and older, and how the commission urges the CDC recommendation to deliver booster shots to anyone older than the age of 18. And then we fixed some more grammatical mistakes within. That essentially finalizes all the changes that we.
Any commissioners, other than pages 6 to 8, do any commissioners have any questions, concerns, or added input to the report that has been sent around now in its fourth drafting? Are there anything that anybody else feels should be added and or is concerned about in regards to the long report?
Yes.
Is Commissioner Sirota?
Yes. I don't know how to put my hand up. I couldn't find the hand down here.
No problem.
The cover, it still has a picture of Santa Monica.
So let's go up to that if we can.
I think it should be Los Angeles, not Santa Monica.
Any preferences as to what image to use?
Well, that's a picture of Santa Monica.
Yeah, that's what Commissioner Sirota pointed out.
Downtown Los Angeles and City Hall.
Maybe downtown.
Well, there is a part of the beach that is, in fact, I don't have a strong preference one way or the other, but there is part of the Los Angeles city is out on the beach, right? Venice is part of the beach.
We could show the bodybuilders of Venice on the health report.
And then Palisades Beach, which is just north of this picture, actually, is also, there's some interesting, where sunset comes in and is an interesting beach, beautiful beach as well. If you guys feel strongly about the beach, or you want the Hollywood sign or downtown, I mean, I don't. To me, it doesn't really matter. But here's our time to get it done. So, either Commissioner Hisarick or Commissioner Sirota, do you have a strong feeling what you'd like to have? Commissioner Cotto, your hand just went up.
Not being partial to being from CD11, but a Venice Beach with a bike path and exercise out by the beach might be nice.
Okay. Commissioner Hisarick, do you have a?
No, I'm not.
Your hand's still up. That's good.
And that was about something else.
Okay. Any other commissioners have a strong feeling? Because right now, Commissioner Cotto is pushing for some cool pictures of
the boardwalk at Venice, which might include some homelessness and some health addicts. Sorry. But they've had their problems there, too. I don't feel strongly. I just think it should be a picture of some part of the city of Los Angeles.
Yes.
I think that's a wonderful point, Commissioner Sirota and Hisarick. Well, today's the day to make the decision. So, do you want to have a beach scene, a downtown scene,
How about a picture of City Hall?
President Mandel, this is Commissioner Stratas. Can you hear me?
Beautifully, yes.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, good. I've been on. I'm sorry. I apparently was muted, and I just unmuted myself. I think a photo of downtown Los Angeles would be appropriate. After all, it is the City of Los Angeles Commission, and we're discussing issues that are from the City of Los Angeles. So I think downtown area would be appropriate. I love Santa Monica. It's a beautiful picture. I think downtown Los Angeles would be appropriate.
Okay. So can I get a consensus then? John, could you lower your hand, please, for a sec?
Okay, it was about something else, but okay.
I know. I remember.
Okay.
Right. So what I'm going to ask for is I'm going to say three things that I've heard discussed. One would be downtown Los Angeles, one would be the Hollywood sign, one would be Venice Beach. So I'll do them one at a time, and then if you could raise your hands, and if you don't know how to do that, just say yes, and we'll count. I think we have 10 people on now, and we'll try to get a consensus. We'll do it like the Iowa caucuses, last man standing. Sarah, your hand just went up.
Yes, I was looking for public domain photos because they can't be copyrighted, and I just wanted to mention that there were more options for downtown Los Angeles.
That's good to know. Thank you. Okay, so let's go. All in favor of. I'm going to abstain on all of it, so I'm comfortable with whatever the commission wants. So, in regards to, do you want a downtown LA public domain photograph? All say yes.
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 2, 4, 6.
Yes.
So we have 8. All right. So
that's already the consensus, so let's just go with that.
okay, if you're comfortable with that, Ron,
I am.
That's the answer. All right, there we go. We've solved that. So Commissioner Sirota and Hisarick, thank you very much for pointing out our beautiful view of Santa Monica is inappropriate. We appreciate that. Commissioner Hisarick, you had a question.
Well, I'm just wondering, it was said that this was circulated. I assume that means online. You know, I'm getting old. It's hard for me to read all these things online. Is there any paper copy? And I don't need all 613 pages with all of the attachments, but just the text part. Is there? How long would that be, and how much of a problem to send that out? Or maybe it's too late. The voting is going to take place, so.
Well, hopefully we get it approved tonight, or 99.9% of it tonight. And it was sent out from the city clerk multiple times to everybody.
Right. Not a paper copy, though.
No, not a paper copy. We're trying to save trees in the environment and save money.
I understand. Well, I'll do my best with this.
Okay.
Okay.
Commissioner Gavida.
Oh, sorry, I don't have my hand up.
Okay, no problem. In any other than pages 6 to 8, any other comments or questions from any of the commissioners? All right. Let's go back to page 6, please. If we could, Sarah or Claire. Actually, stop on page 2 for a second. I do think that we should publicly thank the city clerk for all the work. Oh, there she is. No, her name's there, but do we publicly thank her in addition to other individuals on that page? Scroll down a little bit more. Yeah, I think we should publicly thank the city clerk for all her work that she has done. Somewhere in there.
That's very nice, but not needed. If there's not enough space, it's okay.
It doesn't have to be needed. We can change the font. We can do something there. But we'll insert a public thank you for the amount of work that you've done, Ms. Moreno, is just amazing. So we truly appreciate it. Okay, so scroll down. Let's go to page 6 then. Okay, so let's just take it in parts. Are we comfortable in the blue box? Is there a consensus on the blue box? Commissioner Shannon, do you have a problem with it?
Yes, I would not like to put a specific nonprofit mentioned in a health commission report when there are many, many nonprofits and other entities who have provided reports on homelessness. I don't think that's appropriate. I didn't think it was appropriate for AIDS Project LA. I definitely don't think it's appropriate here. If we want to say evaluate proposals from different nonprofits outlining various alternatives to end homelessness, I would be fine with that. I'm not okay using Rise Together's name in the context of this particular report.
Okay. So just for the record, elsewhere throughout the report, we actually refer to UCLA, USC, other not-for-profits that have done things. We include them throughout the report. So it's not just one not-for-profit that's being placed there. We hear what you're saying. What I would ask is, there are people who disagree with you. So I would ask for us to take a vote on just the blue box for inclusion in the report. Can we get a vote on that?
This is John Hisrick. I have a question. Is it the entirety of the blue box, or just the inclusion of number 6? And just
number 6 for me. Yeah.
Shannon said, and just say other. Just skip the name of Rise Together, and do the evaluate thing of various agencies or something like that. I mean, that's the only rub, and I understand that concern.
Okay, so I think there's a consensus here. So saying something to the extent of evaluate proposals from different nonprofits. It doesn't have to be nonprofits.
From various organizations.
From various organizations or government entities. Because it could be a government entity in Nevada or Utah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You get rid of not-for-profits. Sarah, you can get rid of that. Evaluate proposals from various organizations, government entities, such as ones that have been presented to the Commission in 2021. Is that acceptable to you, Commissioner Shannon?
Yes, because we actually had a hearing on homelessness, so they can evaluate that too. That's fine.
Okay, and then Sarah, I think there should be a period. There you go. Any other commissioners have a feeling about this recommendation box? Commissioner Cotto?
Will we need to include the wording to end homelessness in that number 6, or do you think it's clear enough just with evaluate proposals for what? Or do you think we have to be more specific in number 6, or do you think that that's already inclusive?
How about something like to address homelessness or something like
okay.
that?
Well, it's long-term housing solutions, so. Yeah, the verbiage to me doesn't matter.
Okay.
Point. We don't want to call out a particular organization.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. are people comfortable with this?
I am.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
better.
All right,
Yes.
so we can accept the blue box. Let's go to the next paragraph, please, the background. Anybody have a problem with the background? So we can accept that one. Let's go to the next paragraph, which is the successful model approach of permanent housing, going all the way down to the word United Way. Are we comfortable with that?
That's not actually on the screen right now, the next paragraph. Somebody put that on the screen.
It's on the, yeah, sure.
Please?
It's on the,
It is? I'm not seeing it.
it's on the share screen.
There we go. Okay. I think one change we had made with the one successful model that follows this approach is permanent supportive housing is to use the word permanent housing and permanent supportive housing. Not all housing is supportive or needs to be supportive. It depends on the individual and their needs. So sometimes supportive housing can be a barrier where only permanent housing is needed, if that makes sense. So I do know that we made that change other places, and I do recommend this, but...
So now, Sarah, by putting that in, it makes the second part of the sentence not understandable. So we'd have to take out that and put it back in someplace else. Right. So remove that. We can put it in. So it should read, one successful model that follows this approach is permanent supportive housing, which is a housing program for individuals and families with mental health issues, substance abuse disorders, chronic illnesses, or disabilities who experience repeated or long-term homelessness. And this whole paragraph is about PSH.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, and then later on we can.
I know it. Yeah, in other areas we changed it to permanent housing and permanent supportive housing, so that both are in there.
All right, Rita, you had a question?
I just wanted to just give you some additional information that I'm not sure if I was here when that conversation was taking place or that discussion, but the city, when it refers to supportive housing, it is specifically housing for people who are experiencing homelessness. And not necessarily because it may be a mental health issue, but because there are services that are being provided to assist the person, and whether it's getting their anything at all, any type of assistance. So any report that we're seeing that says supportive, it has anything to do with supportive service, supportive housing, automatically goes to the Homelessness and Poverty Committee only. So that's just an FYI.
Okay, thank you. So let's move to page 7, please. Let's look at the top first paragraph. This is discussing the housing first in C3. Anybody have a problem with that paragraph?
Nothing major, just that there's an extra space that's in there that should be removed. Towards the second to the last sentence, after families, individuals and families, you just have an extra space.
Sarah, can you see that or not?
Not at the moment, but I'm reading through it, so I will find it.
I'm in the maybe I've moved too fast.
Oh yeah, you jumped. You're in the second.
I'm on the sorry.
Nope, don't be sorry. We can fix it. We can fix it on the next paragraph. All right. Seeing no problems with the first paragraph, let's go down to the second paragraph, where Dr. Calfani pointed out nicely that there was an extra space between families and HACLA.
She fixed it.
Yeah, she's like you. She's on the ball. All right. Anybody have a problem with that second paragraph? Rita, your hand's still up. Is that from before? No problem. Okay, let's go to the third paragraph, please.
So, if I can speak, be recognized.
Yeah, sure.
So, for this paragraph that starts with "as for the actual units required for housing first," the vacancy for units is now 71,000, and that came out in the housing element report with a graph to show exactly what that is. So we're above 71,000 vacant units for City of Los Angeles.
Well, 71,000 units that are non-market?
71,000 units that are vacant.
Well, that's not, they're just talking about non-market vacancy. We're not talking about just vacant. The non-market vacancy is different. Vacancy includes ones that are being offered to rent that are more expensive than people can use. So I think that both numbers are correct. We could add the 71,000. I think it's wise to set out, but we just have to figure out where to put it. But non-market vacancy are people that are not renting purposely for one reason or another. For example, there's a significant number of foreign nationals who have parked money by buying condos that are not for lease and are not being lived in. There's a lot of that downtown in like the Four Seasons and some of those properties.
Yeah, and I believe it's 71,000 non-market vacancies because they used that, how they came to that number was through DWP, and these units were not metered. You know, they were not showing any use for several months. So I believe it is. I don't want to say that for sure. So we do know that there are 71,000 vacant units.
So let's make that another sentence then. So we'll do, and we can check that, and we can approve this in the end to include it. So at the end of that sentence, after Farrar et al. 2020, we can then add the sentence that you want to, that what was the name of the report that you were quoting?
The City of Los Angeles Housing Element report.
Recently documented 71,000 current vacant units within our city. Okay? Are you comfortable with that? Any other?
Yes.
Okay, any other comments on this? And then, Commissioner Shannon, if you could just get the research associates a reference for that report so that we can footnote it and have it in the end of that section.
Will do.
Thank you. So we can approve that one, and let's go to the one that's going to be a little bit more controversial. Let's go to the next, the Rise Together.
You know, perhaps we could just take these one by one, and I can explain why each one is problematic. I mean, it's not every single one, but is it possible that we could do that so I could at least explain it, why I think that it's unreasonable?
So let's go through some of them then. And so we'll go through them all, but some of them are going to be easy. We don't have to have them 1 to 11 like they do.
I think the city attorney has a comment here.
We can go to. I'll recognize you in a second, Attorney Vaughn. Where it says the roadmap steps are to, we could say some of the roadmap steps are to. Okay. And then, Attorney Vaughn, you have a comment or a statement?
Just a quick statement on number one, that the Lions matter is still ongoing. It is not dismissed. The old iteration of it was sent back to the court. Alliance has filed an amended complaint, and the city and the county are moving to dismiss it. I just want clarification as to what number one is. So if it says settle the current federal lawsuit, that current federal lawsuit is still ongoing. But what was before, I believe Judge Carter had done, that was overturned and sent back. So I just want clarification for the entire body to understand where, at least with regards to the federal lawsuit, where that stands.
Should we be advocating settlement?
The Court of Appeal sent it back. Okay, it went to the Court of Appeal and they sent it back. So, I mean, I don't really see the relevance of this. Not to mention the fact that that lawsuit itself was extremely problematic in terms of same thing on criminalization. So, we keep going back to the same thing. Given the fact that the appellate court now has thrown it out and back down to the lower court, this to me, asking the council to evaluate something that's just been rejected by the appellate court, I don't think is, in line with what we want to do as the Health Commission. So I would move to strike 1 and 2 here.
Okay. Anybody feel strong of keeping 1 and 2 in? What I would suggest, instead of having numbers, if we make them bullet points, it might be, it might aesthetically look nicer.
As I would second is Commissioner Shannon.
Fine. Let's get rid of 1 and 2. Get rid of settle. If everybody else, if there's a consensus here, unless somebody wants to keep it in, let's take those 2 out.
Seems reasonable since there's still outstanding litigation.
Okay. The homeless are. How strongly do people feel about that? You want to keep it in or not?
Yeah, keep it in for me.
Anybody else feel strongly about it? Okay, then let's keep it in. 4-week mapping program to determine how many individuals are there.
I have an issue with this.
Why?
Well, first of all, you can't map every single person who is unhoused in 4 weeks.
Why?
Number one.
Why?
Because it's a gargantuan task, and we already have a homelessness point-in-time count. But this is actually asking for people to show individual identification. That alone is problematic for people who are from immigrant communities that don't have ID, from people whose ID has been lost because they're homeless or confiscated because their things have been moved. And this is another, very draconian way of addressing homelessness.
Not draconian at all. People
asking for individual identification for people is absolutely that.
It's not draconian.
Why would identification be draconian?
Because many people don't have identification for the reasons that I specified.
Those people have it. And
that's right. Those people documented that they don't have it, and they'll be.
And some people may not feel comfortable, particularly people who may have warrants or felonies on their record, may not feel comfortable providing identification. And I feel that going down this road is literally the wrong way to solve homelessness.
But we're not solving homelessness for the last 10 years. It's gotten worse. So we need to do something that is maybe a little bit radical from your point of view. It's not.
Yes, but there have been places. There have been places who have ended chronic homelessness like the state of Utah, and they didn't do it by asking people for their ID or trying to map everyone. First of all, mapping someone and their actual location when they live this itinerant existence and they are being moved constantly by homeowners, by police, by all kinds of folks is ridiculous. I mean, this is, I just find this to be, we're asking the council to evaluate implementing a 4-week mapping program. We already have a homeless count that we do every single year.
We're not endorsing that. We're saying that this is what their roadmap is suggesting, and it should be considered. And it's not unreasonable, and it's not imprudent. And in Utah, they did ask people for their IDs. They didn't not let people. Utah specifically asked for IDs, and they asked to help people. We're not saying that we endorse and mandate these things. We're saying that some of their roadmaps steps are to do this. I think we should keep it in. Commissioner Cotto, your hand's up.
Yes. What if on that last line of page 7, some of the roadmap steps are to, if we add consider, so then, these are considerations.
Ron, I understand what you're saying, but we're not saying to consider it all. We're just saying that they are proposing a roadmap to solve it in a short period of time.
Right. So that's what the.
So we're just saying what they've said.
Okay.
We're not saying that we support that. We're just saying that the city council and the mayor ought to consider theirs and other people's proposals, because what we're doing clearly is not working.
Okay. Well, I could understand, Commissioner Shannon's viewpoint. The Wellness Center where I work, for the last 5 months, once a month, we've been doing a homeless outreach. So it's every 4 weeks. And volunteers go out in vans to the different encampments and bring them in for the services. But it's a changing group. You never see anybody, consistently be coming. So they are they are pretty hard to follow or to map. It's just a challenge. I know this has great intentions, but I'm saying to apply it is a big challenge.
Well, that's a workforce issue. So the reason why it's hard is because we're using relatively small numbers of excellent volunteers. If we increase the number of individuals who are going out to do it with a wider group of individuals, then it could be done in 4 weeks.
I think this makes us look very amateurish in terms of recommending this as an evaluation to the council.
We're not recommending it, Commissioner Shannon.
I think we're recommending them that they evaluate this proposal, and I think it makes us look very amateurish. I don't think that this actually makes sense in the real world. I have many, many clients who are unhoused. They typically do not stay in the same place. The way that we keep in touch with them is typically through cell phones that they get for free, and not this way. This is a recommendation from someone who has been working on this for maybe a very short time. And I don't think that we should be recommending this as an evaluation for the council. I do have other points that I will say, in the interest of compromise, will be fine. I just think this is one of them that I think as a House Commission for the City of Los Angeles, we should not be putting out there in a report.
We're just reporting what they have said. We are not endorsing it. Let's move on to the next bullet point, please. Require nonprofit organizations to participate in city-funded forensic accounting. Do you have a problem with that?
I don't, no. And this is something that I actually recommended.
Okay. How about the next bullet point? Regulate public spaces.
Yes, that is a criminalization bullet point. I think that should be taken out.
I'm not allowing it to be taken out. It's their proposal.
Well, we'll vote on that because I think that this is a democratic body and we should be voting on the various bullet points that we agree should be in there and not agree should be in there. And there were other commissioners who had a problem with this particular bullet point as well.
The bullet point is not us recommending it. It's Rise Together's bullet point. It
It's
should
a
be.
recommendation for the council to evaluate this point.
Exactly. And a
So
lot of,
why would we put it in there if we don't agree with it?
why do we, because there are people in the city of Los Angeles who do agree with it.
The council just voted with 2 people supporting this exact thing. So this is irrelevant at this point, and we're asking them to evaluate something that they have just struck down.
If I may.
If somebody is offered public housing, free housing, and is available, and they don't want to take that housing, instead, they want to camp in front of a school or a park or my house, you're saying they have a legal right to do that when they've been offered free housing and they refuse?
Yes, some people don't want to take it because they actually think that people who may be suffering from underlying medical conditions should be taking that housing as opposed to somebody who might be relatively healthy and living on the street. Yes, I actually know people who have turned down housing because they want the priority to be people who have underlying medical conditions who may actually die on the street if they don't get housing, such as people with AIDS or diabetes or a number of conditions. Yes. So, yes.
This is saying that there are some public spaces that housing should not be allowed, living on the streets. You currently cannot, by law, have a tent in front of a school.
You can have a tent in front of a school unless the council member puts that location into a motion and has the council vote on it. I mean, this really is my expertise and where I work, so I'm just saying that I'm well aware of the laws in the city and the ordinances that have passed. And yes, and you know, to go to the extreme of saying that this has the public spaces refers to public schools, which it does not. It refers to all public spaces. It doesn't say some public spaces. It doesn't designate schools. It doesn't designate daycare centers or libraries or a number of other places that the actual ordinance does. This is saying public spaces. This is a criminalization model that we have rejected time and time again on this council. So I understand that people don't want folks camping in front of their homes or in front of schools. But this is also the homeless capital of the United States, sharing that title with the city of New York. And criminalizing people and fining them and ticketing them and leaving them with warrants is cruel. The courts have ruled on that several times.
This is not criminalization. Commissioner Hisserick.
Yeah, I'm just trying to clarify. This recommendation was made by that other organization?
Yes.
Okay. Now, we've excluded their name, that other organization that recommended.
Their name still appears up at the top of the report, and I would like to take that out.
Well, notwithstanding the fact that this may not be our view, the fact that we've included it in a report from the Housing Commission is going to be seen as our recommendation.
No.
I believe it is.
We have a box that we went through that specifically is our recommendation. We're just saying that there are, and it has been presented to us, and there is a lot of proposals that should be considered. And this body, this commission, doesn't make rules. The city council, we advise the city council.
Right. But
All we're saying is that people living on the streets have health conditions that get worse, and we've had it presented to us that they die earlier and their diseases are worse. And they use the paramedics more and they use the ERs more.
I can understand that.
Right, so it's a big issue. And it's not been addressed appropriately by this city or its leadership for 10 to 15 years. It's gotten worse. So we need to do something a little bit more creative, or the problem's going to get worse and worse. This is one proposal that was presented to us, and this is their suggestions. The city council will make its own decisions. We're not telling them.
I understand.
Make a recommendation to it.
They could be citing, saying, "Oh, look, the health commission recommended this," and then
Absolutely.
And then somebody.
I wish they did, because it'd be nice if they even recognized that we exist.
Well, notwithstanding that, it still becomes a matter of the public record. And
it's going to be John. It's going to be the public record anyway.
Right.
The entire proposal is in the back, whatever pages it's on in the bottom of the report.
That is not a reason for us to put in criminalization. That's just because yes, it is criminalization. Everyone agrees that it's criminalization.
Attorney Vaughn, could you address the verbiage to say where in there does it say criminalization? Nowhere.
I would love to jump in on this. This is not I can't jump in the middle of that debate of what context is with regards to the wording. The wording is, I'm going to be very lawyerly, the wording is what the wording is.
Does the word regulation imply punitive results of that regulation? In other words, if somebody goes in front of what somebody defines as a public space, they then are in violation of some regulation? And that's what
it says. No encampments, no camping, no encampments. We understand what that means. Those of us who have worked on these issues now for 20 years understand what that means.
All right, let's move on to the next.
No camping. No, I really think we need to vote on this, and I would like to make a motion to strike that bullet point.
Second.
We can do that, but let's go through all the bullet points, and we'll come through the ones you don't want. And then we can have all the votes done at once. Let's get through all the bullet points. Then you can get rid of, or we'll have a vote on every single one of them. It'd be a lot more efficient to do that. Let's move on to the next bullet point, please. Provide within 8 weeks.
Provide within 8 weeks immediate housing with matched services. This means 20,000 shelter-based beds with semi-private rooms. The housing and residential location should be populated at no more than 40 per site. This includes a shutdown of a bridge home.
Any problem with that?
Yeah. Yes, this number is just thrown out there, right? Why is 8 weeks in there? Because somebody just put it in there. Okay, we're not going to provide within 8 weeks immediate housing with matched services.
It's not what we're doing. It's what they're recommending. It's visionary. Let's move on to the next bullet point.
You know, let me just say, this would be like saying we're going to give, open heart surgery to every single person who has heart disease. If we said that, I think you would say, you know what? I think that really is not based in any reality whatsoever. And this is kind of how I feel about that bullet point.
Well, your analogy doesn't really work, because we do open heart surgery for anybody who needs it in the city of Los Angeles gets it. So
yes, but if somebody put within 4 days, I think you would say not in any way grounded in reality.
Well, who said 4 days? This is saying 8 weeks. It's to make it a priority. That's obviously not the case, because the city isn't doing it. Commissioner Grimmick.
I think in their presentation, I don't know if I'm not remembering correctly, but I mean, they do have a plan for how they would do it within the timeframes that they lay out, correct?
Correct.
So, I mean, this is their idea. I mean, I think keep it in there. That's what their proposal, and they have their data to back up what they're saying and how they would do it.
Okay. Commissioner Hissrich, your hand's up. Do you have another?
Oh, no, I'll take it down. Sorry.
No problem. Okay. Let's go on to the next bullet point. We'll come back to this, Commissioner Shannon. You can work on it later. Create between 6 weeks and 6 months. Do you have a problem with that? How about within 9 months, the next bullet point? Do you have a problem with that? How about the next bullet point? How about the next bullet point? All right, so the only ones that I see that Commissioner Shannon really has a problem with, so if you can roll that back up a little tiny bit, would be the
one begins
regular 4-week mapping program and the public spaces. Those are the only two that she has a problem with?
Yes, because we took out the top two regarding the case, correct?
Yeah.
Regarding the Alliance case? Okay, yep, just two. That's fine.
Okay, so let's take those individually. Somebody want to make a proposal to remove the 4-week mapping program?
Actually, no, we forgot to provide within 8 weeks immediate housing.
Where is that?
That's below.
That's under regulate public spaces. I'd like to get a vote on that because I just think it's not grounded in reality, and we're the Health Commission.
Okay, so we'll take them individually. You want to make a proposal, Commissioner Shannon, to remove the 4-week paragraph?
That way we're doing.
Yes, I would like to move to delete the paragraph bullet pointed starting with implement a 4-week mapping program.
Okay, is somebody wants to second that?
I'll second that.
Okay. Sarah, did you have a comment?
Yes, I had a question about whether we want to remove the entire paragraph or just the individual.
Commissioner Shannon?
You know, the truth is, if you took out 4-week, which is really problematic, and if you took out the identification, and I mean, that's fine. I mean, why I think this looks a little amateurish is that we already have a coordinated entry system. We already have a VSPDAT where we score people. So I don't understand why we have to say Category 5 is considered high risk when we already have VSPDAT scores, that go up to a certain number that are actually much more sophisticated. So this whole thing is just grounded, I feel like, in, someone who's just putting out good ideas but not actually understanding all of this. But if we want to say implement a mapping program or an expedited mapping program, I think that would be much more reasonable for how many individuals are experiencing homelessness and take out their individual identification. I don't think real-time location mapping makes sense, but a classification of their needs, I think, is good. So yeah, there is some good in here. I don't want to, we don't necessarily have to throw out everything.
You're going to make a motion to amend it then and do those things you just described?
Yes, so I would like to make a motion to amend this to say implement an expedited mapping program to determine how many individuals are experiencing homelessness and real-time location mapping and a classification of their needs. That sounds great.
Second.
Any other discussion? Rita, could you call a vote on it, please?
Yes. Commissioner Avila?
Yes.
Commissioner Estradas?
Yes.
Commissioner Gavidia?
Yes.
Commissioner Grimmick?
Yeah.
Commissioner Hisarick?
Yes.
Commissioner Cato?
Yes.
Commissioner Kalfani?
Yes.
Commissioner Lemus?
Yes.
Commissioner Mandel?
Yes.
Commissioner Osi is absent. Commissioner Pack is absent. Commissioner Shannon?
Yes.
Commissioner Sirota?
Yes.
Okay, that is 12 votes in favor.
So Sarah, could you, there you go. Presto, it's done. Next bullet point is to regulate public spaces. You want to get rid of that, Commissioner Shannon? You want to make a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to delete that bullet point that starts with regulate public spaces.
Second.
Any other discussion on it? I'll make a statement on it. If you don't regulate public spaces, you have total lawlessness. You can't have a dog run off leash in a park. You can't smoke in a school building or a LA City department building. You can't do a lot of things. We do regulate public spaces in the city of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
There is no reason that you should not be able to regulate some public spaces by individuals who are offered the ability to get housing. They cannot have the right to be wherever they want to be. It's just lawlessness. We're trying to help people, and some of those people, for whatever reason, they have a right to their beliefs, but they don't have a right to do whatever they want to do. Any other comments or discussion on it?
Yeah, just real quick. I mean, I agree with everything you said. But also, this is their proposal. This is not, we're not saying this is what should be done. This is their proposal, which is already going to be in the report, in the back of the report.
Exactly.
So it's being stated here. I don't know why we have to get rid of that. I don't agree with that.
Okay. Commissioner Cato?
Yeah, in CD 11, when they cleared Venice Boardwalk, they offered everybody housing. They didn't just go in and kick them out and move them anywhere else. And afterwards, once it was cleared, they went and, people that were coming in, they were, trying to relocate them. So once again, yes, it is a proposal by this nonprofit. And I would vote to keep it in.
Thank you. Commissioner Hisarick?
Well, I understand that the mandate, for example, is a way of enforcing public behavior, and I understand that. The problem I have with this is it implies, as Commissioner Shannon has said, the criminalization, or at least the lawlessness of being homeless. And I have a hard time wanting to do that to folks that are homeless. I can understand the desire to regulate behavior, as I say, as we've done with the mandate but on the other hand, this criminalizes homelessness. So I'm going to support it, although I understand both sides of the issue, so to speak.
Commissioner Shannon, your hand's back up.
So I'm hoping that people will support getting rid of this bullet point. The council just took this up a week and a half ago. Only 2 members of the council, Councilmember Joe Buscaino, Councilmember Lee, voted to support it. Every other council member who basically has appointed us to this commission have rejected this. So I'm asking that we please take this out. There's absolutely no reason to ask the council to evaluate something they already have voted on. It's irrelevant from that point of view, and it's also criminalization, and I hope that we will vote yes to take this out, please.
Rita, can you call a vote, please? For the record, we're not recommending it. We're just saying that Rise Together has suggested it, and it should be, like everything else, evaluated. Sarah, do you have a question or comment?
Yes, I was wondering, as like a compromise, if we could reword it to say regulate public spaces to ensure that individuals are able to access offered housing options. That way there's no implication of the part about regulating public spaces.
Commissioner Shannon, would you accept that?
I actually don't understand that. Why would we regulate something, or why would we use the word regulation of public spaces to house people? We don't need to regulate anything. We need to offer the housing, as they did in Utah, with no criminalization. And the way that I know this is because I brought the whole delegation down from Utah who worked on that plan and implemented it in 2015 for our Homeless to Housing Conference. So I think this has been voted on by the council. We don't need to regulate our public spaces to offer people housing. We need to create the housing and offer it to folks. And we have, the studies show that 92% of people, when asked ready to go into housing, they will go into housing. Statistics on this from Utah, this has already been studied. I feel like, again, this is something that somebody put into a report who has just kind of started working on this, and I don't think our Health Commission should be supporting it.
We're not supporting it. We're just reporting what they're saying. What about the 8%, Commissioner Shannon, that refuse to go into housing? Can they do whatever they want? Is that what they can live anywhere they want?
The Health Commission is supposed to help people who are unhoused with underlying health conditions get into housing. It does not mean they should be ticketed, fined, given a warrant for not showing up in court for a misdemeanor. Are we saying that this should happen? Because when you say you're regulating public spaces, and we just had an ordinance brought forward to the council a week and a half ago, so we know what this means, I don't think that that's right.
Question. This is Commissioner Estrada. I just want to make sure that I understand this. We included in there, it's not something that we're recommending.
That's correct.
Okay. It's something that it's making reference to a presentation. We're not recommending it.
Correct.
I can't remember who commissioner was it talked about earlier about lawlessness, but I think we also need to consider public health issues. If somebody's offered something, and I'm concerned, I'm in healthcare for homeless, but if someone's offered something and they don't take, for whatever reason, they don't accept it. Doesn't matter whatever reason it is. There's also a public health issue if there isn't some kind of, how can I say this? Some kind of criteria or guideline on where they would not be in front of clinics or hospitals or schools. So I just want to make sure that it's not something we're recommending, but we're referring to a proposal or a presentation that was made.
You're correct. That's correct.
And I'm public health. Okay.
Yeah, you're right. You're correct. Commissioner Cotto?
One other point. As a health commission, we are trying to help the homeless. And so if they are offered housing, we are, working to help them. Now, if they refuse that, that's their option. And so I think, when they're refusing, I don't believe we could, just allow them to continue doing what they are. It's not. I don't think it's criminalization. We are offering them help.
Correct. Commissioner Hissrich?
Well, I keep making an analogy to the issue of whether or not we require somebody to be vaccinated. Now, we can cut off their pay if they're in a position. This is still debatable, but I don't think I've heard anyone say that if you fail to get vaccinated, you're going to be charged with a crime. And this has the sort of the sense that if you don't move, you're going to be charged with a crime. And I have a hard time with that criminalization. I mean, I think government has a role in regulating behavior, but I don't want to be charging people with crimes for things that...
It's not saying that you're being charged with a crime. It just says that some public spaces are regulated. You can't decide you're going to encamp or put a tent or build your little vestibule anywhere you want. It's just some public spaces are off limits. That's all it says.
If you do that, what is the penalty?
It's not for us to decide. It's for the city council to decide.
Well,
We're just asking. All we're saying is to consider proposals that consider it. That's all. We're not suggesting it. We're not recommending it. We're just saying that they should consider proposals such as this roadmap. That's it. Let's call the question. Rita, could you call vote, please? So what's there is to either keep that one sentence in or take the one sentence out as a bullet point.
And a no vote means to leave it in, and a yes vote means to take it out.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay. Commissioner Avila.
Yes.
Commissioner Estradas.
No.
Commissioner Gaviria.
Can you repeat the motion again? I'm sorry.
Right. The motion, Brian, is a yes vote is to remove that one bullet point, the one sentence, and a no vote is to keep it in.
Yes, I vote yes to remove it.
Commissioner Grimmick.
No.
Commissioner Hissrich.
Yes.
Commissioner Cato.
No.
Commissioner Kalfani.
Yes.
Commissioner Lemus.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Yes.
Commissioner Mandel.
No.
Commissioner Ossie is absent. Commissioner Pack is absent. Commissioner Shannon.
Yes.
Commissioner Sirota.
No.
Okay, so let's see. The yeses are 6 yeses and 5 noes.
So it's removed.
Yes.
Sarah, take the little dare. Thank you. All right. Next bullet point. Commissioner Shannon, do you want to make a motion to remove that?
I would be fine if we just remove the within 8 weeks. So provide immediate housing with match services. I would be fine with that. Or if somebody wants to recommend something that's more reasonable.
Okay, we can take the 8 weeks out. I don't think there's anybody who's going to be opposed to that. Anybody else feel strongly about that paragraph? All right, so leave it in. So we've removed everything that we have. Let's go back to the entire, Commissioner Cotto, your hand's up.
Just, one thing. I think the point they're trying to make is that there's an urgency to try to do this, and our current system doesn't seem to have that urgency. And I think, maybe that's why that 8 weeks was put there to emphasize a greater, to get people moving with greater urgency. I don't know if we just leave it without it, that people get that sense, and they're going to think, oh, we're already doing this anyway.
But you make a good point, but again, it's not our proposal, it's another organization's, and the entire proposal and the roadmap and the timelines and their references are all included in the report, in the very back of the report. So it's more of to give a vision. So I'm comfortable, if it makes Commissioner Shannon more comfortable and happy to remove the 8 weeks, I think we can remove it. If you read the whole report and the Rise Together roadmap, they'll have the 8 weeks back in there in the back. So we're just editing them out a little tiny bit to make Commissioner Shannon more comfortable and build consensus. So, is everybody comfortable? Is there consensus on removing 8 weeks, that we can live with it, all over that?
Yes.
Okay. So let's, Sarah, if you don't mind, remove that within 8 weeks. So it just reads, provide immediate housing. Beautiful. Excellent. So I think we have gone through the report. Commissioner Shannon, your hand's back up. Do you have another point or question?
No, that's an accident.
No problem. Okay. So are we comfortable with the entire report, which is, I think, 681 pages or something?
Yes. Let's get it done.
Hearing that, Matt, do you want to make a motion to accept the fourth draft of the report as modified today at today's meeting?
Yeah. I'll make a motion to approve this latest draft and finalize the 2021 report.
Second.
I heard a second. I wasn't sure the voice.
Ron.
Oh, Ron. Thank you very much, Ron. So Commissioner Grimmig has made a motion. Commissioner Kato has seconded it. Is there any other discussion on the entirety of the report? The only discussion I would say is that I would like to publicly thank Sarah Kashinyati, Lauren Yen. He's not on it today, but Marvin Chartery and Claire Williams for their stellar. Oh, Marvin's there. He just jumped in, waved at us. Hopefully Lauren might be here too. I don't know if she was able to get back on. She had exams today, and from the city clerk's office, Frida Moreno's, their amazing work putting together this really, really impressive document, and it is really stellar, and I think it points to the city that we can be a functional commission that can actually really help both the city council as well as the mayor's office improve the quality of health services in Los Angeles. Commissioner Cotto, your hand just jumped up.
The report is so good, and we did this without funding. Do you think it's going to make it less of a chance for us to get funding in the future?
No, if you read the introduction, we put $2 million on the line. So
we've always had that as a proposal. How many years now, and it hasn't been listened to?
Well, this is the first time we put a dollar amount in the report. So if anybody reads the introduction, it's there, as opposed to us going to the committees of the city council and asking for it. We've put it in writing, and it's there to be read. Marvin, you have your hand up. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, so can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So before we finish and finalize it, while I was taking my exam, Dr. Condoy did send me an updated version of the disease burden and healthcare section for the homelessness section. Do you want to go over that, or do you just want to not include their new edits?
Can you show it to us? Which part does it change?
I'm trying to find that right now. I just received the email a little bit ago.
Which page was it?
Can you scroll down to the last subsection in the homelessness part?
Disease prevalence?
Yeah, this one. Let me double check really quickly just what they changed. And okay, so they did change the recommendations. I'm gonna screen share this right now. Okay. My computer is frozen. Give me a second. There we go. All right, can you see my screen, everyone?
Yes.
Okay, so they added a few new recommendations. It used to be two different ones. I can pull up the report. Oh, let me pull up the old ones, actually. Here's more helpful. So these are their old recommendations. We'll read them here.
Okay.
And these are the new ones that they added.
Those look good to us, to me. Any of the other commissioners have a thought on that? Dr. Calfani, thank you. Your thumb went up. Ms. Moreno, your hand's up?
Yes, not about this. Once you finish with this part, I do have.
Okay.
Everything else looks about the same. So it looks like they added something here. Oh, or maybe they just changed it around.
Sorry, if I can speak, just to help out.
Oh, you
had
changed it here.
Marvin, if you scroll up, what we did was, for the recommendations, we added in some sentences, so it made sense. The background made sense with the recommendations as to why we were, so that then it kind of flowed. So we just added in more sentences for that. And another change that we made was we changed it to healthcare services as opposed to just emergency, so that it covered like a whole, because when we were thinking emergencies, Dr. Yang and I were thinking like just emergency, like the ER, the hospital, but we wanted it to be a little bit more broad. So we did change it to healthcare services too, that in the heading.
Okay. That makes sense. So then, Matt, would you accept the modifications and make your recommendation or your motion to accept the report as amended with this additional recommendation of whatever page that was on? we lose him?
No, I'm here. Sorry.
Oh,
What was that?
would you accept that accept that friendly amendment to add? Yes. Okay. And then I think Ron, you were the.
I will second it with the amendment.
Excellent. Any other discussions or points? Thank you, Marvin, for pointing that out. Rita?
Oh, I just wanted to add, I think I remember seeing an email where you, and thank you very much for asking that the city clerk be thanked in the report, but I believe I saw an email from you to the research assistants to also list themselves and your intern in terms of thanking them for their work on the report. I don't think that I saw that on that cover page.
I thought it was on the. I saw it on the cover page, but if not, that ought to be included. I agree. They should be publicly thanked for their hard work. So Matt and Ron, would you, if it's not there, I thought it was, but if it's not there, we should include public thanks to Lauren, Sarah, Marvin, and Claire for their work?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, great. Any other comments from any commissioners?
No. We'll get the revised copies.
Yeah, of course. Ms. Devon, are you comfortable with the legality of what we've written?
It's fine with me. There's no
good deal. All right.
Vetted discussion. Yes, it's fine.
Thank you. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Rita, could we have a call for a vote for approval of the 2021? Ron Cotto has a question.
No, just really quickly. I just saw I haven't updated my bio since the very beginning. Is it okay if I send an update to Sarah?
Yeah, I think we said that. I think we said that that before it goes out, that everyone has responsibility for proofing their own bio, adding anything they wanted to it, and if you didn't like your photograph, to putting a newer, more modern photograph in. That's there. That's a responsibility of each commissioner to do that. And we'll make sure before it's printed and sent out to the city council. So we'll prove it with those modifications. Rita, can we get a vote?
Okay, Commissioner Avila.
Approve.
Commissioner Estradas.
Approve.
Commissioner Gavidia.
Approve.
Commissioner Grimmig.
Approve.
Commissioner Hisarick.
Approve.
Commissioner Cato.
Approve.
Commissioner Kalfani.
Approved.
Commissioner Lemus.
Approve.
Commissioner Mandel.
Approve.
Commissioner Ossie is absent. Commissioner Pack is absent. Commissioner Shannon.
Approve.
Commissioner Sirota.
Approve.
That is 12 votes unanimous. No, not unanimous. We have 2 absent, but 12 votes in favor. I'm sorry, 11 votes in favor.
I was going to say it can't be 12 because we have 2 seats that are still open. So that's wonderful. Congratulations. Great job, everybody. Thank you for all the commissioners for the hard work they did to create this beautiful document. And we should send it after everybody proofs their bios and or pictures of their bios. We'll give you 1 week to have it done. And that after that, we will then send the report to every single member of the city council, to the mayor, to the city controller, to the city attorney, to the city treasurer. And I believe we ought to, but it's open for discussion, I think every single member of the House of Representatives who is covers the city of Los Angeles, and every single state assembly member as well as state senator who includes the city of Los Angeles ought to get a report, as well as our 2 U.S. senators as well, being that they have responsibility for the city of Los Angeles. Each of those individuals should get a copy of the report.
Well, you didn't mention, but the Board of Supervisors as well.
Yeah,
because this was
obvious. Yeah, that's obvious. Commissioner Hiswick. Thank you for that as well. Commissioner Avia, you had your hand up. Irma?
Yes, just I want to be sure my name was fixed.
Yeah, I picked that up about a week or 10 days ago. I think that's fixed. But thank you.
Okay, thank you.
That no slide. It was just a quick typo error.
Okay, thank you.
Wonderful. Good job. Having that's a big accomplishment. I think it's great. So, moving on to the next agenda item, any ideas for 2022? Any other suggestions other than the ones we've already worked on? Seeing none, we'll keep on working on it, and we'll move on from there. I wish everybody a Merry Christmas, a Happy Kwanzaa, a Happy Holiday, and may everybody who's listening to this in the general public have a wonderful holiday season. Be safe. Get vaccinated. If you've had 2 vaccines, get a third, because it gives you better protection to Omicron as well as to Delta. And may everybody who's listening to this on the commission, in the city staff, and whoever's listening to this in the general public, have health, happiness, and prosperity in 2022 and the years to come. Much. Have a good holiday.
You as well. Thank you.
Can we get a motion for adjournment?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Avila, second.
Excellent. All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Anybody
Aye.
opposed?
No.
Any abstentions? No. There we are. We're adjourned. Thank you very much. Great job, Rita, Sarah, Marvin. Thank you for jumping in at the last minute. If Lauren, if you're there, we truly appreciate it. Claire, I saw you. You're there. Thank you so very, very much for this. The amount of work that you guys put in is really remarkable, and the city of Los Angeles is in your debt. You guys did a great job to help us make this amazing report and monograph. Thank you very much. And then Irma, your hand's back up. You have another comment?
No, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Don't be sorry.
Okay, thank you.
And I also want to publicly thank all the commissioners for their volunteerism and their dedication to make this commission function and civilly discuss, debate, disagree, and also work together to improve the public health of the people of the city of Los Angeles. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.